Hello and welcome back to another episode of PG's Minecraft Command Tutorial. Today we're going to talk about one of the most important and powerful functions, powerful commands that Minecraft commands have to offer. We're going to talk about the execute command. So the execute command changes who is using the function. Every time we've used the command before, we've typed in our slash and then the command itself. And then, if you type in @s, then it's of course going to choose you, the player, because it's going to be you who's using the command. Well, what if we had somebody else use the command? And as you'll see, this is actually going to be very powerful. In addition, the execute command also allows us to make conditions for whether or not a function will run. And when we start getting to chaining commands, this is going to be very useful as well. So with that, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to look at is the syntax, of course. So we're going to pull up the execute command, and you see there's a lot of different arguments here. Well, the most important one that we're going to look at, of course, is the run. So the rest of these are optional, and we'll go into what exactly they do in a second. The execute command is different than other commands. Basically, it's not a command in and of itself. You need to pair it with another command. So if you type in run, then it tells it that you're going to be running another command. So you see it brings up the list of commands here, and I can do whatever I want. So I'll just do say for now, and I'll say hi, and you'll see same as if I just said say hi slash say hi, just like that. So you see now it's it's as if I just typed in say hi, but I have the execute command. So this is going to be very useful because, as you can see, run by itself doesn't do a lot, but we have all these other optional arguments here. And we're going to be using these to determine whether or not to run a command, and then whether or not I am the person who's actually going to be using the command. So, for instance, we're going to take a look at, first, let's do as. So then if I do as, first, let's add a tag to something. Let's add a tag to this pig right here. So we'll do slash tag and slash tag at e type equals pig distance equals 2 blocks of me, and we'll do the say tag, add say. So now if I come over here and I do as slash execute as at e tag equals say, and then I run say hi, you see it says, instead of me saying hi, it's now this pig right here. He's the one actually saying hi into chat rather than me, who's over here. So we can change who is the one actually doing the command. So if I do slash teleport, and I'll do 0560, of course it teleports me, because we talked about this before. It just does @s if you don't put one. So now I can teleport this pig slash execute as at e tag equals say, run TP, and we'll do 0560, and see it teleports this pig to 0560 because he has the say tag. So the as argument changes who is actually using the command, and as you can see, you just put in as, and then you put in whatever target selector you want there. And you can run it as multiple things, so if I just wanted to run it as all the pigs, I'd say at e type equals pig, then I do run say hi. You're gonna see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pigs there. You should see 5 hi messages, and look at that, 5 hi messages. You can still see like they have their teams and stuff based on all the team stuff we had set up last time. Yeah, we have all the pigs saying hi now, all 5 of them. So we've changed who's actually using the command, but we haven't actually changed where we're using the command from. So the command is still being run from where our player character is, and here I'll show you. So if we do execute as at e tag equals say, so we're running it as that pig, and we do run, and we're going to TP PG805 to right where it's standing. You'll see it just teleports me to right where I'm standing. So what's actually changing is when you run a command, it gets your position and who's actually using the player. I mean, who's actually using the command, excuse me, which happens to be the player in this case. So all we're doing is changing who is actually using the command. So now, it's by using the execute command, it's as if this pig just was the one who teleported us over here. But it's still teleporting us to where I'm standing, because we haven't actually changed the position. So, if we come over here, and we try to do something very similar, and we have our as here, and now if we do at e type tag equals say, that's what I was saying. Yep. Then we do run, and we do TP, and now if we do PG805 to where the pig is, see, it teleports us to where the pig is now, because we're running it where the pig is rather than where I'm standing. And now we don't have to have the pig cast this command either. So if we remove this as part of this, it's still going to run it at where the pig is, but it's as if we're casting the command on ourselves. So there are many different ways to change where the command is actually being used from. So we have execute. As is definitely one of them. As will be specifically for an entity. So if you know that there's an entity that you want to be using the command at, then that's when you use at. But if you know like a coordinate or a position, then what we're going to use is positioned. So if you do execute positioned, then we do 0, 56, 0, and then I'd run TP, and then I'd run TP, and we'll do at e tag equals say, and we'll teleport it to there. Let me go a little bit away so we can see this. So I'll cut that, and then you'll see I'm standing over here, so my position is about 11 minus 9, 11 minus 10, and if we look at 0, 0, and we run the command that I have copied, you'll see the pig gets teleported to 0, 0, because that's where the command is being used from. So the pig, who's now walking away, got teleported to where the command is being used because it's relative. I'm teleporting it to the exact coordinates using the relative coordinates. So we can use the positioned to choose an actual position, and you may have saw that when I typed in /execute positioned, there's also this as here, so it brings up the coordinates, so I can just type in the coordinates like I did last time, or I can type in as. And so positioned as works essentially the same way as. So you just type in that, you type in who you want to be positioned as, and then you do TP, or run TP, and we'll do at e type equals, or tag equals say. Close that off. Oops, and we gotta tell it to teleport to here, and so it teleports them right to me because it's where I'm positioned. Now I can do the same thing in reverse and put myself here and go PG805, teleport myself to the pig at e tag equals pig. Oh, tag equals say, of course, and so it teleports me to this pig again. So the next argument we're going to look at is facing. So if I do /execute, before I show you that command though, I want to do sort of a control command. So if I do /set block, and I use the caret notation so we can do based on where I'm looking, and we do about just 5 blocks about in front of where I'm looking, and we'll do a few blocks up, about 3 blocks up, and do Minecraft diamond block. You see it puts it about 5 blocks in front of me, and then 3 blocks up from where I'm facing. Well, let's say I want to put the same block. Let's make sure I'm about 5 blocks away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish blocks away. I want to do this as if I want to put the same block over this pig's head. So I don't want to change where I'm facing. I just want to put it over it using the same command. So I can do /execute, and I can do facing, and I'll do entity, and I'll do @e tag equals sig, and I'll do limit equals 1, and then we will do it doesn't really matter, but we'll do position looking at its eyes, and then we will do run set block, and then use the same notation from before. Make sure it goes above his head so we don't accidentally suffocate him, and we'll do Minecraft diamond block. And look at that, there's a diamond block right above his head because it's as if I was facing him. And I did that all while facing this way. So the facing command is just changes the direction that the command is actually facing. You can also do that based on a position. So like right here, I'm looking at -755 3. If I were to run the command, it ought to put it, I might do it a little bit higher up. So if I do like -555 3, it'll put it somewhere over here. So let's test that theory. So if I stand here, and instead of running it as an entity at E, what I'll do is I'll just type it in, and I'll do -755 3, and I will do run, and I will do set block, same thing, where I'm facing, about 5 blocks in front of that, and 3 blocks up. I'll do Minecraft diamond block. And look at that, because I'm looking down, this is actually 3 blocks up, so it does work as if I was facing this block. So one way to do it is actually based on run a command and change the position of the command is based on rotation. So just like when we were using the teleport command, you can also do rotated, and you can do rotated as, and this will we'll get to that in a second. First thing we're going to do is do just the normal rotated. And so if I do 0, 0, you may remember that was facing behind me because I am currently facing north right now, and 0, 0 in rotation here. The X rotation and the Y rotation is facing directly south, looking at about the horizon. So if I do /execute rotated 0, 0, and then I will run set block, and I will run set block as about 5 blocks in front of me, and I'll do 3 blocks up again because why not? I'll do Minecraft diamond block, and you see it doesn't set it in front of me now. What it does is it sets it behind me 3 blocks up, and I can face any direction. So you may have seen /execute rotated. There's this as here as one of the options. So let's try that out. So I can run it rotated as instead of my rotation as an entity's rotated. So if I do tag equals say, and I will do run set block, and we'll do 5 blocks and 3 blocks up. Minecraft diamond block. So it does it from where I'm positioned, but he's facing that way, so it chooses this block right up here. So let's see, he's facing about that way. If I do it again, see, it sets it to about the same position, about 3 blocks forward. Now it ought to put it somewhere to my left because he's looking about to my left. Oh, now he's looking in front of us, so it should go out in front of us. Just keep watching the pig. Where is he facing? He's facing to put it right there. So it just follows where he's facing and tries to put it there, basically. Yeah, it chooses his rotation and tries to put it where he's rotated to. The next way we can change where the command is being used at is anchored. So if you do anchored, you can either do the eyes or the feet, just like how we were anchored last time. So if I do anchored the eyes, then it's going to run the command as normal. So I'll do run set block directly in front of me 5 blocks, and I will do Minecraft diamond block. See, it sets it to a diamond block. Now, if I run it from my feet, it's anchored on my feet. It sets it as if my feet were looking somewhere, so it's actually going to be like slightly below the ground, right here, because my feet were essentially looking here for it to be 5 blocks that way. The next argument is align. So if we look at align, what align does is it aligns you to the block grid. It aligns where the command is being used to the block grid. So you choose whatever axes you want to align it to, and you can choose any combination of X, Y, and Z. So I can do X, Y if I want to, I can do X, Z if I want to, I can just do X, and I can do X, Y, Z if I want to. That's not exhaustive, you know, I can do any of the combinations. So for now, let's just do all of them. So we'll do X, Y, Z. It doesn't have to be in order, but I prefer to have it in order. And then we'll do run, and we'll do teleport, PG805, exactly where I'm standing, and it should now just align me to the block grid. So you see, like, it teleported me just a little bit, teleported me to right here, so that my position is exactly aligned with the block grid to the 0. There's no floating point number there. I'm directly aligned, and so like if I come off the grid and I teleport myself 3 blocks that way, it does put me right onto the block grid, rounding down. So it, like, if I was here, then it would teleport me 3 blocks in this direction and then round it down to here. So like if I'm standing right here, it teleports me to as if I was here, and then rounds down to align me with the grid here. And then, just like I said, you can use the align command, or the align argument, to align to just a few of the grids. So if I just do the X, Y, and I do run TP PG805, support myself like 3 blocks, you'll see it keeps my Z, keeps the precision on my Z, so I get teleported to like in between the corners here, because I'm in between, I'm aligned with the X-axis and the Y-axis, but not the Z-axis. So you can do any combination of those. If I just did X, it would keep my Y position, and I'd be like there, or if I aligned to just the Y, then it would like keep my X and Z, and so I could get teleported into the middle of blocks, that sort of thing. So it just aligns to where the command is actually being used from to the block grid. The final argument that can actually change the position of the command is the in. So all this does, it's very simple, it just changes which dimension you're using the command in. So it's either the overworld, the end, or the nether, the 3 dimensions in Minecraft. And so if you need to teleport people around in the end, but you're in the overworld, then you can just, in the end, and you can TP, run TP the players that you need to from there, or the entities that you need to. And you can use this to teleport in between dimensions like this. So you see I teleported myself to the end. I can also teleport myself back to the overworld. And then I just run TP 0560, and it'll just join me back to my world right back here. And so I can just teleport in between dimensions like that when you normally can't. So that can be very useful. Now we're going to take a look at the store argument. Store. So what the store command does is you can store either the result or success of whether of a command that we're going to run. So results, you know, we've talked about this a little bit. Some commands, they not only affect the world, but they also return a value that we haven't really been utilizing. Well, this is the first time that it's really going to matter, and basically result is going to be what it returns. So if we store it as a result, you'll you'll see we can store it in a number of things. We can store it as block, so we can store it as block data. We can store it as boss bar, so if we set up a boss bar, we can affect where it is in the boss bar, what value the boss bar has using this execute command. We can store it in entities data, so we can affect entities data, certain numbers, by using this execute. But a lot of these require, like these three, require a little bit of knowledge of NPT data, which we haven't talked about yet. So we're going to move on from these and just talk about score, because we've talked about scoreboards already. So you see I have the execute command already set up, set to 0. And so PG805, I want to store it in the execute command, or the execute score for myself. So then we will run. So fill, the fill command, returns the number of blocks that were filled. So if I do this, and I set it to the block below me, and I do same thing, and I'll set it to like 2 blocks below me, and I will do like 3 blocks. This ought to do about 6 blocks, so it should change my execute command. We'll type in the rest of the command, just simple diamond blocks. This should change my score to 6, because that's how many blocks I'm changing. Oh, and it's 8. My bad. I must have miscounted. So yeah, it changes 8 blocks, so it changes these 4, and then you see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, changes all 8 blocks, and sets my score to 8. So the other part of the store is success, and that stores whether or not the command ran successfully. So we have we can store them in the same ways. We're going to do score again, and so we'll set my score execute, run, and we'll do TP, and we'll do @e tag equals DNE. I don't have a tag that doesn't exist, and we'll teleport it to myself. And so you see no entity was found. It's a failure, so it gets set to 0. If I change this to say it ran successfully, because there is 1, so it sets it to 1. So this is usually going to be a 0 or 1. Sometimes you can chain commands in certain ways to where it will actually be more, because since the command is being used more, it actually counts how many times it was successfully used. So if I run the same command again, teleport him back into his pen, it still stays as 1, because it doesn't increment it. All it does is set it to 1 if it's successful, or 0 if it's unsuccessful. The final argument, and probably one of the most powerful, we're going to be using this a lot when we end up chaining commands when we get a little bit further in, and that's the if and unless. So we have if, and we have unless. And they work very similarly. We'll start with if. So we have if, and you see it brings up this menu, block, blocks, entity, or score. Basically what if is going to do is it's going to check if this condition that we're going to set is true. And if it is, then it's going to execute the command. And if not, then it's not going to execute the command. It's that simple. So then we're going to do score. If I have the score, let's do execute. So then you'll see we can check if it's less than another score, if it's less than or equal to another score, if it's equal to another score, if it's greater than a score, greater than or equal to another score, or if it matches, and matches is going to be how we're going to do a range of numbers. So first you can see I can do if I have less, if my execute is less than my health, so MPG805 health, run, say hi, and it is because of my health is at 5 hearts right now, I believe. So it should say it. So let's check on that, and we'll do game mode survival. And you see I do have 5 hearts, so 1 is less than my health of 10. So it does run the command. Get back into creative. So that means that if I change this to be greater than, this shouldn't work. It won't. The condition is not met, so it does not run the command. And so I can also just check numbers. So if we do execute, and then matches is how we're going to check a range of values. So you can do like 10 as a single number, or like 10 to 11. So let's say if I wanted to check if it's in between -2 and 2, 1 is in between it, so it does run successfully. But if I want to check if it's in between 4 and 6, it is not. So if I wanted to check if it's greater than 4, I'd just do that. If I wanted to check if it's less than 6, I'd just do that. You know, range works the same way with the two-period notation that we've been doing before. So that's how you can check if a score is how it differs between another score. And if the score that you're checking for whatever entity, this doesn't have to be a name like you saw, it could be any target selector. So you can check scores of different entities with different tags and stuff that you set. And if they have certain values, then you can run a command that does something. So the next argument we can look at is /execute if entity. So all this one does, pretty straightforward, is it just checks if an entity exists. So we have at entity tag equals say. This entity should exist. It's that pig from earlier. So if I do run say hi, see I say hi. But let's say I change this tag to DNE because there's no entity with the tag DNE right now. Every time I run it, it's not going to run it because this entity does not exist. You can use this to check for if an entity. This is another way you can check for scores. It's a little bit more roundabout, but you can also just check to see, you know, if you do scores like this, and you type in execute equals 1, you'll see now it says hi, and if I change the score to be a certain value 3, it does not do that. So if you want to, you can also check an entity's score like that. The next one is block. So you can check if a block at a certain position, right here, where I'm standing, is going to be Minecraft air. And you saw there was the groupings of blocks that you can also check for. So if the block I'm standing in is air, then I can run say hi. If I /TP and I go 2 blocks down, so that I'm in the ground, now I won't say hi. So let me teleport myself back up. So the next one we can check is blocks. If blocks. And so how this works is if we can check like right below me to -3. We'll check like that many blocks below me and do 3 and 3. We can check to see if the blocks that I'm checking here match another set of blocks. So we'll set the destination to be -5 below me. So if the blocks -3 below me match the blocks in the same shape, centered, or with the bottom left-hand corner being here, then it will say, and you can check all or mass to if you care about air blocks or not. Run say hi, and you see it says hi because they do match. But if I set it to where I'm standing, the bottom left corner should now be air, and because I'm saying all, if sandstone does not match air, so it should not run the command. You see it doesn't. If I change to mast, similarly, it does not run the command. So the if command is how you check if something exists or if a certain criterion is met. Well, unless we'll do the same thing, except it will do the opposite of if. So if runs if the condition is met, unless runs if the condition is not met. So if we do /execute unless at do entity. So we have the same options here. It checks the same thing. So entity at tag equals say. Run say hi. See, there is an entity that does that, so it won't run. Equals DNE. Similarly, because there is no entity with the DNE tag, it will run that. So if and unless are essentially the same, except for they run if runs if the condition is met, and unless runs if the condition is not met. So now we've seen the execute command and its syntax. I want you to play around with it a little bit, because the execute command is going to be the building block of a lot of what we do, especially when it comes to chaining commands. The if statement and the unless statement make it very easy to create conditions to check whether a condition is true, and if it is true, then to run a command, and vice versa with unless. So yeah, play around with it. Just try out different things using it as different entities and that sort of thing, because we're going to be using it quite a bit, especially when we get to functions, because as you'll see, we'll be able to hide functions with many lines of code behind a single condition using this one command. It's going to be very powerful, especially when making games and stuff like that. So getting in a lot of practice now would be very useful. Another thing that we didn't really talk about so much was using it to run a command on multiple entities. There's a number of commands that you can only run on a single entity. Well, the execute command sort of lets you bypass that a little bit, not quite. It's still technically using the command on every single entity, but what you can do is target with the execute command multiple entities, and it will run the command on all of them. So essentially, using one command, you can run a command multiple different times, which can be very powerful because it runs them all at the same time. Yeah, the execute command is going to be one of the most important commands that we're going to talk about. So knowing the syntax is going to be very important. I'd recommend you play around with it a little bit, just with a few different commands, and see if you find anything interesting. With that, I want to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.